Hello everyone, it's me Sarah. Welcome to my channel A Curious Cuttlefish. Today I'm going to be doing a tutorial on how to make this lacy triangle scarf. Hello all, welcome to today's tutorial. Like I said, we're going to be doing this lacy triangle scarf. It's a very simple pattern. Once we get to these lacy portions, it is a 3-row repeat until we get to our edging right here at the bottom. So, yep, there's the simple edging. It is a very fast and easy scarf. I love this one. And it's really nice because this only uses one skein of yarn. So this one was made using one skein of yarn bee. Trying to remember the name of it, but I used a 5mm hook to crochet it. For today's tutorial, I am going to be using this yarn right here. This is called Facet Stones by Loops and Threads. So this is 243 yards. Because this yarn here, it's more like a woven yarn, it is a slight bit thicker than the yarn that I used here. Instead of using a 5mm hook, I am moving up to use a 6mm hook for the tutorial. But keep in mind, if you're using a regular 4-weight yarn, that's what this one is, you can use a 5mm hook. This will work with whatever yarn you are deciding to do. So let me get this camera turned around and situated, and I'm going to show you guys how to crochet this triangle lacy scarf. Okay, so we're going to get started with this triangle lacy scarf. So here's my yarn. I am going to start off by making a slip knot. Alright, we're going to stick our hook right in there. You tighten it so it fits. Okay, so to start off, we are going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we're going to be working all of our stitches into the 4th chain from the hook. These other 3 chains, they are going to count as your first double crochet. Alright, so working into that 4th chain from the hook, we are going to do 2 double crochets. So here's 1, yarn over, and here's our second double crochet. Alright, and now we want to make our point, so we are going to chain 2, 1, 2, and we're going to do 3 double crochets, so it's just like this side right here. We're going to do 3 double crochets. There's 1, 2, and 3. Alright, now if you're like me and you don't really like weaving your tails in, what I actually do is I take my hook, I insert it through this last stitch. I'm going to pull this tail up through the inside of the stitch. See? And I'm going to pull it up through the inside of this loop of this last stitch that we're working in, and this is just going to allow me to kind of weave my tail in as I go, as opposed to doing it at the end, which is something I never want to do. Alright, so that was row 1. So now we're going to turn our work, and I'm going to leave the tail at the back. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And now into this first stitch, we are going to have 2 double crochets. 1, 2. All right, and now to weave your tail in, or to work it in, I am just working with this tail right here so that it's going to be hidden under these stitches, and then at the end I can just clip off the excess and it will be nicely held inside here. And now in each of these following stitches, we have 2 more. We're going to do a double crochet in each double crochet. So there's a double crochet, another double crochet, and now we're at our chain 2 space. So here's our chain 2 space. We're going to do a double crochet, chain 2, and double crochet. I'm sorry guys. Okay, I'm back. Sorry all, Mr. Cuttlefish was calling. So in our chain 2 space, we did a double crochet, chain 2, and double crochet. So now we have these 3 double crochets from row 1 left. So we're going to do a double crochet in each double crochet until we get to the end. So that's 2. There's 2 stitches there. And now this is our last, this was the chain 3, so that's going to be our last stitch. We are going to work 3 double crochets into this last stitch. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so there is row 2. So I'm going to turn this. I'm not going to pull the tail up. You could if you want to, but because this tail is a different color from what the yarn has changed to, you'd be able to see it a bit, and that would bother me. So I'm just going to cut that at the end. Alright, so let's start row 3. We are going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, do 2 double crochets into this first stitch. Right, so that's just like before. We have our 3 double crochets then, because that chain 3 counts as a stitch. We're now going to do a double crochet in each double crochet all the way until we reach our chain 2 space. So row 3 is exactly like row 2. So now we're at our chain 2 space. We're going to do our double crochet, chain 2, double crochet into that chain 2 space, and then double crochet all the way to the last stitch. All right, almost there. So there's our last stitch right here. We're going to be doing 3 double crochets into this last stitch, and it can be a little hard to get your hook into it because this is the top of your chain 3, remember? So there's 1, 2, and 3. Alright, so that is our 3rd row. So we're going to do rows 4 and 5 exactly like we did this row. So I'm going to pause it here and do rows 4 and 5. It's exactly the same way. I'll start us off. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, 2 double crochets into that first, 1, 2. Alright, double crochet in each double crochet all the way to the chain 2 space. Then we're going to do what we do at our center, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet into the chain 2 space, continue doing double crochets all along the edge till the last stitch where you do 3 double crochets. We're doing this for rows 4 and row 5. So I will join you when I am starting row 6. Okay, so here we are. I just completed my row number 5. So as you can see, all these rows were the same as row number 2. So there we are, we're at row 5. Let's start row 6. So row 6 is going to be the start of our little lace pattern. So we are going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to do a double crochet in that first stitch and chain 1. Okay. We're going to do a double crochet in the next stitch, chain 1, skip 1 stitch, double crochet. Okay, chain 1, skip 1 stitch, double crochet, and that is our repeat. So we're just going to keep doing this, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet. Chain 1, skip 1. So keep doing this along that edge. And now you should be right about here. We have one more stitch left, so we are going to chain 1. We're skipping that last stitch before the chain 2 space. And we're going to do our double crochet into that chain 2 space, chain 2, double crochet into the chain 2 space. Now we ended with a chain 1 on this other side, so we're going to chain 1, skip this first double crochet and work a double crochet into the next stitch and follow this pattern along this side. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet. So we'll just keep doing that along this side. And now you know all the rows to continue this pattern. So this is a 3-row repeat. Okay, so chain 1, and now remember, in this last one, we're just going to do 2 double crochets because at the beginning, we did a chain 3 and double crochet chain 1. So that chain 1's counting as like your 3rd stitch. So there's the chain 1, and then the 2 double crochets right at the end. So that is row 6, and to make this, we are going to be doing 2 rows like row 2 and then a row like row 6. So you'll have 2 solid, then you'll have a lace row, and then another 2 solid and a lace row. And you can keep going until you're near the end and you want to do the border. So I am going to show you. I'm going to do another row 2. So here's a reminder, we're going to chain 3, then work 2 double crochets into that first stitch, 1, 2. We're going to do a double crochet into each stitch until we reach the chain 2 space. And each stitch counts those chain 1 spaces, so make sure you work a double crochet into the chain 1 spaces and the double crochet stitches. Okay, so every chain 1 space and every double crochet. So I'm going to fast forward once I get to the end of this row, and I'll lay it out for you guys to see, and then I'll do another round of row 2. Remember, when we get to the center point, it's a double crochet, chain 2, a double crochet into the center point. But you can see here, we're making this next solid area. So let me get to the end of this row and I'll show you the following. Okay, so you can see here I just completed row 7, so that was this solid row. We're gonna do row 8 is gonna be exactly the same. We're gonna chain 3, do 2 double crochets into this first stitch, double crochet in each stitch across, do our center where we do a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet in each stitch across, and then in the top of that chain 3, right, we're going to do 3 double crochets. So just like our row 2, so we're going to have 2 solid rows, and then we're going to, after row 8 on row 9, we're going to do our lace eyelet row, where we do 2 double crochets, chain 1, double crochet into that following stitch, chain 1, skip, double crochet, chain 1, skip, double crochet. So I'm going to do my row 8 just like we did row 7, and then I'll pop back on to show you guys one more row just like row 6, so I make sure you guys know what you're doing, and then you just repeat that till you're almost out of yarn, and I will show you guys how to do the edging. So let me complete my row 8 right here. It was just like row 7, and I'll pop back on for row 9. Okay, so here I just finished row 8. Like I said, it was just like row 7. So now I'm going to work on row 9 with you guys, and the repeat is from row 6 to row 8, and you're just going to repeat that section until you either have just enough yarn left to do the border or run out of yarn. I like it without the border. You can do it with or without. That is all up to your own personal preference. I will show how to do the border, but this is your repeat, rows 6, 7, and 8. So I'm going to do row 9 just like row 6, just to make sure that you guys got a good idea of how to do this lace row. So we are going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, do a double crochet into this first stitch. Okay, chain 1. So that would count as our third double crochet, right? We're now going to do a double crochet into this next stitch. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, and that's our repeat. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet. So you want to continue to do this repeat all along this edge, and I'll hop back on the camera so you guys can pause the video till you get across, and then I'll show you how to do this center. Okay, so now as you can see I'm at the center, but unlike this row 6 where it was a chain 1, skip 1 before the center, this one will end at a double crochet on that last double crochet right before we reach our chain 2 space. That's perfectly fine. That's what happens every other repeat. So if you end on a double crochet, we're at our chain 2 space now. We are going to do a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet into the chain 2 space, and because we ended on a double crochet, we are going to put a double crochet into that first double crochet. And then we're going to continue with this pattern along this edge. So we are going to chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet. Alright, I apologize, Rocco is again snoring in the background. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet. So just keep doing this all the way until we reach this edge You can pause the video here. I'm just going to finish these last few stitches and then join you for how to complete out this last side. Okay, so here I am coming up to the edge. We're at the chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, and to finish out this row, again we're going to chain 1, then into our last stitch we are going to work 2 double crochets. Just 1 and 2. So there you go, that completes row 9. And so now you're just going to repeat just like row 2. We're going to do 2 rows of solid. Remember, when you're working your double crochet into each stitch, every chain space counts as a stitch as well as the double crochets. So there is your repeat. Do 2 rows of row 2, and then you do your lace row. And you can repeat this 3-row repeat however many times you like until it's the size that you would want or you're about to run out of yarn. I'm going to continue working this up, and then if you guys would like to pause and work on it, then you can join me for doing our final border right on the edge. So feel free to work on this. It is this 3-row repeat right here. I did a second row of this so you guys get a good idea of how this works. Remember, every other row it's going to alternate between ending on a chain 1 space before the center and then a double crochet before the chain 2 space. So that's going to be every other lace row you do. It's going to alternate between looking like this one and looking like that one. So if that happens to you, don't worry, you're doing it right. That's what it's supposed to look like. So feel free to pause it here. I'm going to work on this and then come back and show you guys how to do the border. Alright, so I've worked up this pattern. As you can see right here, I did not finish this repeat, but that's fine. I have just enough here at the end to do my border. So let's get started on that. So for your border, if you would like to do it, you could just leave your triangle scarf like this. But for the border, we're going to start off with a chain 1. And let me try to focus my camera again. Okay, chain 1, and we're going to do a single crochet into our first stitch. Chain 2, single crochet into the next stitch, single crochet in the next stitch, and this is our repeat. We're going to chain 2, we're not skipping any stitches, single crochet, single crochet, chain 2, the next stitch, single crochet, single crochet. Alright, so it's giving just the ever so slight little, I almost want to call it a scallop, but not quite. And that's the edge we're going for. So we have 2 single crochets in a row. We're going to chain 2. In this next stitch, we're going to do a single crochet, followed by a single crochet, and chain 2. So I'm just going to continue this until I reach our middle point, and then I'll stop a few stitches before that and show you guys what I do for the center. So continue in this pattern of single crochet, chain 2. Remember, we're not skipping any of these stitches, we're just adding that little chain to give ever so slight of a texture to this edge. So this is what it should be looking like. Alright, very simple, but different from leaving it just as the plain straight edge. As you can see, right here. There we go. It just adds a nice, very faint texture to that edge as opposed to the straight. If you like the straight, feel free to leave it and just cut off and weave in your ends. So let me get to the point and I'll show you guys how to do that point. Okay, so here we are. I am at the stitch before the center, and depending on how many rows you decided to do, you might end up like me, or you might have 2 single crochets before you reach your center stitch. So I just did my 2 single crochets. I'm going to chain 2, and then I only have 1 single crochet right here. However you end will be fine. If you have 2 single crochets, instead of the first single crochet after your chain 2, just remember how you ended. We're going to make a single crochet into our chain 2 space, chain 2, and a single crochet in our chain 2 space. Alright, so now we want to just make sure that we're doing the mirror of whatever it is that you had on this edge. So I know that I had my single crochet and then a chain 2 before the next 2 single crochets. You can see those here. And so if you had 2 single crochets, all you would do is you would mirror that on this side. Do your 2 single crochets, then chain 2, 2 single crochets. Because we're not skipping any stitches, you're just making it match the other side. So I don't know what row you ended on, but for me, I only have the 1 single crochet. So I'm going to do a single crochet in this first one, and then if I look on this opposite side, I have my chain 2. So I'm going to chain 2, and now I can continue that pattern of doing 2 single crochets and then a chain 2 and then another 2 single crochets. So just like that. And then what I'm just gonna repeat this all the way until I get to this end here, and it should end just like I started. So on the last stitch I should have my chain 2 and then a single crochet, at which point I will fasten it off. But I will show you guys that. I'm just going to continue the pattern all the way along this side, and I'll pop back on to show you guys how I finish it. Okay, so I'm nearing the end. I just did a chain 2, so I should have 2 single crochets here, and then a chain 2, and finally my last single crochet into the top of this last stitch. And that right there will finish out this triangle scarf. So I will have to zoom out for you guys, and actually I'll go back to my couch so I can sit and show you the full thing. I'm not able to get it with this setup. So this is what it looks like. There's the edge. You're just gonna cut and tie off your end, weave it in, and there's my hook. That is how you would make this triangle scarf. So let me get this camera turned around and we'll wrap this up. Okay, so we're here back at my couch. I did change because it did take me a couple days to record this tutorial, some time to finish up, but let me show you guys the finished product. So here we have, this is our triangle scarf. I'm really happy with these colors. I love how this turned out. And I did use, like I said, a bigger hook and thicker yarn for this tutorial. Hopefully it was easy for you guys to see. But it should be able, you can make it to the size that you like, which I enjoy. And like I said, this is a very fast project. It is a 1 skein project, and it works up very, very quickly. So there it is. You weave in your ends, and for those of you who know me, my ends are always there. They stick out. So hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching my channel, and I shall see you all soon with another video. Bye.